Hey internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay. If you're new here, hello, what up? Happy to have you. Lindsay, LiJo, this is my channel where we talk about facets of the brain, interesting things as it relates to our own cognition and understanding for ourselves and others. So today's video is about the INTJ, also could be INFJ, or really anyone with a savior NI function, the vortex as I like to call it, the zone some might say. But what is it? And where does it come from? We're gonna get right into it. Now, I think intuitive types in general will have some level of frustration on occasion, and I think anyone actually will have some level of frustration when they get interrupted from doing things or have to change their focus in a certain direction in a quick moment's notice. But I think those of us with Savior NI especially have a more difficult time. We may get a little bit more annoyed, angry, as it relates to having to quickly shift our focus to doing something completely different. Over the past year or so, I began working with someone who has sensory as a savior function. And I was just struck at how I felt so handicapped doing things in reality with any kind of speed or any kind of agility compared to this person. So one day, as my brain was swimming around with the concepts of psychology and technology, all of a sudden a question that made everything come together came to the front of my brain. And I said to myself, where is the information being stored? That was the key that was differentiating these two different processes happening between these two different people with two different functions. And it also made so much sense to why my offices, my workspaces that I create, I really seclude myself off from interruption and potential things kind of coming into my environment, because being taken off track is such an inhibitor to me and my progress forward. So where's the information being stored, right? So we can refer to the sensory as storing this information and actually originating this information within a cache. So it's relative to the ground, it's here based in reality, and it's easily accessible. And it's all there. It's like this master cache of sensory information that you can just be walking along the road, grab something in and out of, and take it right back with you. NI doesn't have a cache. It has a server that is up on an airplane, flying in the sky. And when all these little dots and connection points within our brain are working together to give us a centralized concept, something that we're working on, something that we're focused in on, the thing, right? It's all these little data points which are removed from reality because they're not reality based, they're conceptually based, but they're working together in the cloud to give us this this direction, this vision, right? This movement forward that we're going towards. You know, we don't even know that they're working there behind the scenes. All we see is the vision and we're like, that's what I'm going towards, but it's based off all these little things that have come together to give us this innate vision. So we're in our NI airplane vortex server in the sky. Our information's up here. So for us to start going with something, moving forward in reality, we've had to go up into the airplane. We've had to start moving with it. We're accessing the server. We're moving forward with the idea, and all of a sudden, bam, reality calls something down in the sensory, and we're looking down to whatever it is, and we're like, crap, now I have to land my plane so that I can go and communicate on this sensory level with someone. Now, the same thing will happen if we're trying to communicate this idea, this vision to someone. Same thing happens. We have to land the plane to bring it down to the sensory. But if we're not talking, communicating with anyone, we can just stay up on there on the plane and we can just ride it out, continue to go. However, when there are interruptions at the vortex, airplane, server, and we have to come back down, we have to go down and land our plane down to reality, have the conversation about, what do you want to have for dinner? I don't know, whatever. We're trying to keep the plane a few feet off the ground so we don't have to go back up into the side, re-access all the things that we had going previously. We want to kind of keep that in the air as much as we can, but then the longer that we're down here on the ground, everything starts to cool off. The airplane, the engines start to cool off. The server cools down, hasn't been accessed in a while, it's going to be a bit slower. And then, the conversation, the interruption, whenever it's over, right? To us, the sensory chaos, right, has come down. And now, do you know what we have to do? we have to start that airplane back up again. We have to go up the runway, go up into the sky, right? We're going up there, we're accessing the server to get the information, to get it going so that we're able to process and move forward on this vision that we're working on. And that's the process. So that is why if you are someone who is Savior NI and you're trying to communicate to someone based off your vision, if you're trying to come down and relate to some interaction that is outside of the kind of vision path that you were on in the moment, that's why it can be kind of so frustrating. And this is the moment where it had come together for me, and I was like, it's because I'm accessing the server. I'm not accessing a cache that is reality based. And Carl Jung actually says, as it's related to introverted intuition, he says, the images appear as though detached from the subject, as though existing in themselves without relation to the person, right? It's this removed piece from us that we can see and we can access, but it's not present on the ground. It's not reality based. All right, so let's say you're Savior NI and you're trying to deal with this and you're like, yeah, that's right. I don't have a cache that's easily accessible. I have a server in an airplane. And so what do you do with that? What do you do with this new concept in your new airplane? So one thing that will help me is that if I am, and really there is no simple answer because there's really nothing that does it 100% at all. There's no direct cache that you can access. But sometimes having an outline of the major components, the major dots that are up there in the server that I'm trying to work on, writing those down in reality will kind of trigger me to be like, to get up there quicker. It's almost like a fake cache you can create for yourself. Not as good as the real thing, but it's something that can help. And if you're someone who doesn't see what the big deal is with this topic and conversation, and you're like, what's the big deal? We can talk about this and then we can talk about the other thing. And then, if I send you something on this, then that should be fine. What's the big deal? I hope this video explains to you a little bit more about why it's hard for us to go back on the train of thought once we are broken away from it. There's room for growth for everyone. You, myself, all of us. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope it makes sense. I hope you understand something a little bit better. If you'd like to book a session with me on Snug, my link is down below. We can video chat about this stuff. And I will see you in my next video. Until then, internet friends, so long.